Boys, it's Chinned. Welcome to a new tier list I'm making. Dana just dropped a bunch of fights, a bunch of new main events, and there's been a lot of kind of sus main events that have been announced over the last few weeks. So I wanted to make a tier list, with S being the most exciting, the best matchups, and F being the worst matchups. I'm gonna try and balance it out. I think there's a lot of value in the entertainment of a fight compared to just the matchmaking, but obviously it has to make sense. Um, but yeah, starting off with Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. I'm gonna put this in B tier, low B tier for the record. Um, it's a really unexpected fight. It's kind of out of left field. It's a good fight. It should be fairly exciting considering Bonfim might cancel out the grappling of Bilal. It's just a weird one. It's kind of out of left field. If this were anybody else, this could be C though, so I kind of understand because Bilal is kind of hard to match up, especially as a main event. It's a good thing he's in the Apex though. Bilal versus Gabriel Bonfim is in B tier. Starting off strong with Chimaev and Strickland. This might be controversial, but you have to hear me out. You have to hear me out, especially to today's standards. Chimaev and Strickland is an S tier fight for me. And it's weird. I've seen a lot of people online switch up on this. Now all of a sudden it's just not a great fight and people don't understand why it's being made. You were just asking for the fight to be made when Strickland TKO'd Fluffy. Personally, I think the major problem with UFC matchups these days is they don't prioritize the excitement value leading up to the fight. And when they do have a great matchup that's all about the talking and the beef, they don't capitalize on that. They don't do face-to-face interviews or anything like that. Like this, who gives a fuck, is one of the best grudge matches you could possibly make in the UFC in the last 5 to 10 years. Since Conor, this is a massive grudge match. It's massive. And it has crazy political implications at this point as well, especially with all the shit that Strickland's been talking. This is a fucking banger. I know the fight might not pan out to be great, but it's a great matchup because we're interested in seeing if Strickland can do what he did to Fluffy. Yeah, to Chimaev. It's a very interesting fight. It's a very interesting fight. The lead up's going to be insane. It's one of the best main events that they can make all year. And anybody who's saying otherwise is just trying to be different, in my opinion. I think it's a great fight. I think it's S tier. Moving on, Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer. I'm putting this in B tier. I'm putting it over Bilal versus Bonfim. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's an exciting fight. I'm not an Adesanya glazer at all. I actually just heavily dislike him, as most people do. And I'm going into this with a clean slate. I'm not hating on Adesanya going into this one. I'm not. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's a tough fight. Pyfer's fucking dangerous always, but he's got his holes. There's nothing more to be said about it. It's nothing. It could be a basic Adesanya, a typical Adesanya, just leg kick to a decision. Or it could be a Pyfer quick KO. Who knows? It's kind of up in the air, but it's a good matchup. It's fun. Yeah. Nothing more to be said about it. That's a just solid B tier fight. Moving on to Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. The inspiration behind this video. I'm putting that in F tier. I don't think it's crazy to say. I think Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott, it makes me laugh just to fucking talk about it, just to look at this fight. I think Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott is one of the worst male UFC main events of all time. Obviously, well, Viviane Araújo actually main evented. That's why I said male. This is one of the worst male UFC main events I've ever seen in my life. And I've had to sit through countless Holly Holm main events back in the day. So this is bad. This is a bad one. This is really fucking bad. Why is Mike Malott in a main event? I understand it's in Canada, okay? But why is he in the main event? Man, he's not even exciting. You can't even bank on him. Do I think he's going to finish Gilbert? Yes, I think he's going to. But it's not going to be exciting. The last few times Gilbert's been finished, it has not been exciting. The Michael Morales fight was pitiful, bro. That shit was straight pitiful. Shit was hard to fucking watch. Burns just keels over, with the flick of a jab. He's just not the same Burns he used to be. It's a sad attempt at putting Malott into the rankings after he failed to beat Neil Magny a couple years ago. It's a shit fight. It's a bad fight. It's not even a good matchup. It's the worst fight, and it's the benchmark for all-time worst main events I've ever seen, honestly. on the male end of things. Moving on to a incredible main event. The absolute benchmark for a non-championship main event for a fight night. Do I put this in S? I don't know, because I don't want to overdo it with the S's. But I'm factoring in entertainment. I'm putting it in A. High A, bottom S, borderline. I'm factoring in entertainment as well. Is it the right matchup? Yes. It's one of the best number one contender matchups in terms of like how just obvious it is that you have to make it. You had to make this fight at some point. And it's a great fight because the 145 division's kind of like unclear on their contenders. It was between one or the other, Evloev or Murphy. And now, you know, hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have a resolution in that division. We're going to know who's going to be fighting Volk next. I've heard, apparently, there's a rumor going around, Evloev's out and Gene Silva's in. And I'm going to say this right now. If it's Gene Silva versus Lerone Murphy, that is also an A-tier fight. That is a fucking banger fight. And I would be looking forward to that just as much as I'm looking forward to the Evloev matchup for Murphy. Great fight. Incredible main event. Incredible matchmaking. It's easily A tier, could be S tier, but I'm being considerate. I want to be conservative about the S tiers here. Moving on, Brady versus Buckley is actually not the main event. I realized that just now. Okay, we're ignoring Brady versus Buckley. That's going to the end of the line. Brady versus Buckley just got moved to the newer card on the main card. Moving on to now Moicano and Chris Duncan. Man, this is an F tier. That's an F tier, man. That's an F tier fight. That's not even that's a decent co-main on a fight night in the Apex. That's not even a good co-main for a crowded fight night, you know? A fight night with a crowd. That's not even good. That's not even good, man. I don't even know how to feel about that one. Like, does the fight make sense? Yes, it does. Like, the matchup is good. But that's a good featured fight, or like, you know, a prelim main event on a pay-per-view, you know? Like, you know, Duncan's on a fun run right now. I'll give it to him. Like, he's a very exciting fighter as of late, but I feel like it's more due to the fighters that he's fighting, you know? Rebecca, Terrence McKinney, who nearly had him out in that fight. I mean, I don't know how to feel about that one. It being a main event, it's just so ass. It has me borderline speechless at how ass it is for a main event. And I love Moicano. I have a fucking Moicano shirt. All right, like, I fucking love Moicano. Who doesn't? I was there live when he hit the Moicano wants money in MSG. But man, this is just not, you know, it's same thing with Burns and Malott. It's a ranked fighter versus an unranked fighter. What are we doing? Why are unranked fighters in main events? Doesn't make sense. Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. This is a newly announced one. I really like this fight as far as, like, finally Aljo is being active, but matchup wise and entertainment wise, it's C tier. I'm in the camp of Aljo having a fight that he doesn't need to fight down on the rankings. And I am also, you know, in the camp that Yair is a fucking disgrace to this division, and he should be fighting one of these two guys. Entertainment wise, it's probably, yeah, I don't even know who I have for this fight. I'm leaning Aljo, but if Aljo wins, it's going to be boring, and if Zalal wins, Aljo rarely loses by finish these days. He'd probably just get laid on or something. That's a rough one, man, as far as entertainment goes. But, you know, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. We're still getting Aljo, you know, former champ, and then Zalal, who's a nice streaking contender, kind of a dark horse in the division. Maybe the number one dark horse in that division at the moment. So it's not the absolute worst. It's not D tier. I'll tell you what's D tier. This might be controversial. I'm putting Song Yadong versus Figgy in D tier. Hear me out. I love Figgy. And Song Yadong, I think he's very overrated. I'm not even gonna say a tad bit. I think he's a very overrated fighter. I don't think he's very exciting these days. I think he's low-key Cheeto Vera maxing in his fights. Like, he kind of just freezes up at times, and, you know, he's got this power and this ability and this speed and he doesn't really use it that much. Like, he against O'Malley, everybody cried robbery about that fight. I think Sung freezed up in the later rounds, and I think he actually could have taken the fight if he opened up in the third like he should have. But anyways, the poor part of this fight is not Sung, it's Figgy. Figgy is just the definition of washed right now. It's really sad to watch. And while I'll be rooting for Figgy, I'm not picking him to win that fight. I'm picking Sung by fucking TKO, like round 4 TKO. That's just, man, you can tell that they just clamored for a main event in China, you know? They just wanted one of their Chinese guys main eventing, which I understand, but you can't just throw Figgy. It does not belong in there with Song. I'm sorry. I don't even rate Song that highly, but man, Figgy's just having a rough run right now, and this matchup doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, to be honest. Maybe that's controversial. I don't know. Let me know if you think this is a good fight. I don't think it's a good fight. Moving on to an absolute heater, the most beautiful example of matchmaking you can get for a non-title fight in the UFC right now. S tier for sure. I might even have to I'm going to put this as the number 1 fight right now, matchmaking wise, main event wise, because Chimaev Strickland, while the build-up's great and the matchup is fun, the fight could be boring. Jack Della and Prates, there's not going to be any good build-up because Jack Della couldn't sell fucking meth to a homeless person. But man, is that not one of the best number 1 contender matchups you've seen in the last couple years? I mean, even entertainment-wise, who gives a fuck about the rankings? Who gives a fuck about the title implications, which are all totally there, you know? But the entertainment, this is like the number 1 boxer in the UFC, arguably, in Jack Della, and one of the craziest, just fucking steamrolling KO artists in the history of that division, almost in the history of the sport if you can get Jack Della out of there easily. Prates is fucking insane, and Jack Della is having a crazy bounce back now. I'm picking Jack Della for the record. I'm fairly confident in that, but I'm also a huge Prates fan. Wow. This fight is one of those fights. This fight wows me. When I saw this fight announced, I was like, oh yeah, finally, a good fucking main event. Because we never have good main events these days. It's one of the reasons I made the list. We have shit like fucking Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott with a crowd. People are paying to see Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott. You guys know that, right? People are fucking paying for tickets. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, depending on where you're sitting, to watch Gilbert Burns keel over like his brother, Herbert Burns, to a jab 3 minutes into the first round and get TKO'd. It's ridiculous. Jack Della and Prates is one of the best main events booked right now. It's the best main event booked right now, in my opinion. I can't fucking wait. That's easily at the top of S tier. Arnold Allen versus Melky Costa. I'm putting this in the middle of B tier. In the middle of B tier. It's a good fight. It's a really, really good fight, and it's a solid main event. And Melky's on a hell of a run. I picked against him a few times in that run, honestly. I've had a hard time picking Melky fights, but I'm nothing but impressed. Melky absolutely deserves the shot. I honestly would have thought that he would have gotten a guy like Yair. Again, I'm throwing Yair under the bus. Where the fuck is that guy, bro? We need to get Yair out of the fucking rankings if he's not going to be fighting. This should have been Melky and Yair, in my opinion. But Arnold Allen is, hey, this is a great fight. It's an even fight. It's a hard to pick fight. It's one of those. It's probably going to be very entertaining. Not much build up, but that's fine. It's a good matchup. It's solid, man. It's solid. It's a good main event. You know, it wouldn't exactly be main event caliber a few years ago, but at the same time, it's still, there's nothing to complain about. Just like the other fights in the B tier. Good fights, nothing to complain about. Just not exceptional. Moving on to the next pay-per-view main event, or the numbered card main event, Yuri versus Olberg. This is going in A tier. Because entertainment-wise, you have the number 1 most exciting fighter, in my opinion, in the history of the sport, in Yuri. And you have a extremely hot Hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Whoa. You have a heavily streaking contender in Carlos Holberg. And, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. You got a very, what is it? 8 fights in a row for Holberg. And Yuri is obviously extremely deserving of another title shot. You have a guy who is unbeaten in a division with Alex Pereira not in it, and a guy who's unbeaten in however many years, 4 or 5 years, with incredible knockouts. Albeit I don't think he won against Jan Blachowicz, and I think the Reyes fight was a clear layup. It's still a fucking great fight. I think everybody is excited to see if Yuri can get through this guy. I think he will, personally. I mean, listen, any Yuri fight, Yuri could be fighting me, and it's an A-tier fight at the least. He finds a way to make everything a war. He finds a way to make everything a war. It's an A-tier fight. It's great, and it's going to be heavily exciting. Moving on to the main event this weekend, Fight Night main event in the Apex. This is Kevin Vallejos versus Josh Emmett. Oh, man. I'm putting this in fucking D tier. I'm putting this in D tier. Only because it's lopsided. It's lopsided, and Emmett's on a bad losing streak, and Vallejos is on a great winning streak. It's just, it doesn't mesh well together. I get that they're trying to get Vallejos into the rankings. Big Vallejos Glazer over here, by the way. Big Vallejos Glazer. Been watching him since before the Contender Series. I love this guy. He's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. But I just, I would have preferred him to fight somebody higher up in the rankings. A guy like Emmett, who you kind of know is going to get killed in this fight. And I'll eat my fucking words if he doesn't. If Emmett fucking catches Vallejos, I'm going to kill myself, though. Anyways, it's just, it doesn't grab me. It doesn't grab me. Again, this is all personal opinion, but this fight doesn't grab me. As a big Vallejos fan, especially. There's just nothing, there's not many stakes here, Emmett's washed and old, and we kind of already know that Vallejos can beat a guy like Emmett. It's not like anybody's disputing that. There's nothing to be proven here. It's a D-tier fight. Yeah. Moving on to Ilya versus Gaethje, the White House main event. Last but not least, I am going to be putting this, it's an A-tier fight. And that might be controversial, but you have to hear me out. Entertainment-wise, there's just no way it can be boring, and I know we just said that about Charles and Max, but that's a completely different situation. We've seen Charles grapple people to decisions, especially recently. He did it to Chandler, right? So Ilya's not doing that, and Gaethje has never had a bad fight. He's never had a bad fight in his entire UFC career. It's just, if it's a 3-minute KO, flatline KO, so be it. Sure, that might suck, but it's still way more exciting than any of the other fights that are below it. Yeah, I think it's a good White House main event. It's just not as good as what we were being hyped up to see. Dana was making it seem like we were going to get fucking Godzilla versus Kong in the main event. But we're getting fucking Ilya sliming out an American in front of the pedophiles in the White House. This is why we don't have fucking Strickland and Chimaev in the main event, man. I swear to fucking God, that would have been sick. Imagine Strickland just fucking kills Chimaev in the main event of the White House and just starts calling out Trump and shit for being on the Epstein. Come on, man. That's fucking sick. Yeah, this is the tier list right here. We got Brady and Buckley. Brady and Buckley, if it stood a main event, probably would have been in B over Bilal here, but yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. There's been some good main events announced as of late. But honestly, a lot of the Fight Night main events have just been weak. Just inconsequential fights that don't make any sense for the division, or don't make any impact, rather. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Jack Dillon Prates is a work of art. This has been Shind. This is the tier list. Thanks for watching. Comment if you have any opinions about this. See you in the next one.